Doha isn't just the capital of Qatar. Doha is a stage. Every skyscraper, every street, every hotel is part of a performance where impressions matter more than facts. In this city, luxury isn't an accident, it's a language. And reputation is the alphabet everyone uses. If you can speak that language, you can achieve almost anything. If you can't, you will stand in the shadows even when the lights are everywhere. In the Middle East, reputation is more than a brand. It's a living organism. It grows, breathes, reacts. A company without a reputation doesn't exist, even if it has a budget. And a person with a good reputation can enter doors that millions of dollars won't open. Because here, a name isn't just identity, it's a guarantee of quality, a promise you won't fail. Every step you take in Doha leaves a trace. Not only in contracts, but in the stories told about you. If you act with class, you're remembered. If you show arrogance, you're forgotten. In a world where conversations travel faster than press releases, someone's opinion of you can change your future over a single dinner. In Qatar, nothing happens without context. Everything you do is observed. Who you work with, who you recommend, which circles you appear in, all of it is written in an invisible book of reputation. A book with no pages, yet with endless memory. And that memory is collective. For Qatari entrepreneurs, honor and image are inseparable. Losing money is a setback. Losing reputation is the end. That's why every decision is cautious, every step considered, every word weighted like gold. Even silence can be a statement, even a glance, a decision. When Western investors enter this world with the mindset of, let's try and see what happens, they often fail to understand that here, there are no trials. Every attempt is a public appearance. If you're not sure, it's better to stay silent. Because in Qatar, every maybe means something. If you say anything you can't deliver, your name lands on a list no one returns from. That's why so many foreign players rely on local reputation advisors, not to build campaigns, but to avoid mistakes. In a world where a gesture means more than a strategy, reputation is built through everyday behavior. Not through billboards, not through PR, but through the way you treat people you don't need. In Doha, people say that real class reveals itself when no one is watching. If you can be polite to a waiter, show gratitude to an assistant, speak respectfully to everyone, that's when people start speaking well of you. And that well travels faster than any advertisement. Qatar's elite has a long memory. They remember who acted fairly, who was patient, who kept their word. They also remember who tried to manipulate, who pushed too hard, who treated them from above. Those players disappear quickly. Doha doesn't like the shadow of aggression. Doha rewards subtlety. In a world where every building demands attention, the loudest success is the one others talk about for you. Here, you don't show wealth. It is meant to show itself. You don't brag about influence. It should be obvious. You don't declare your integrity. People should say it themselves. In Qatar, reputation is like a scent, invisible, but instantly recognizable. This is why entering the Qatari market begins with discretion, with knowing how to move in a world where silence is a tool and humility a strategy. Many believe this is an archaic model, but this is exactly what makes Doha one of the most influential cities in the world today, because Qatar, though modern, still follows an old desert rule. A person is what others say about them after the caravan moves on. If you understand this principle, you can build an empire here. If you don't, your name will vanish faster than footprints in the sand after the first Gulf wind. Reputation in Qatar is not marketing. It is destiny. And only those who respect it understand that in this world contracts are made of paper, but trust is made of stone. Qatar operates under two laws. One written in legislation and one older, invisible, rooted in tradition. The first regulates procedures. The second regulates relationships. The first is found in legal codes. The second is revealed when someone shakes your hand. And it is the second that decides whether you can truly operate here. From the outside, Qatar's legal system looks simple. High standards, modern regulations, a Western framework in an Eastern state. But in practice, nothing is as straightforward. Qatar built its own version of modernity, one where law does not replace people, but supports them. where the paragraph yields to honor, where decisions have a soul, not just a seal. In Doha's offices, everything is electronic. Registrations, invoices, permits. Digital, fast, efficient. But even the most advanced platform won't function if you don't know the right person. Because in Qatar, law is an instrument, not a wall. And if you know how to play it, you can achieve far more than you ever could in the West. The greatest secret of Qatar's system isn't complexity, but flexibility. Here, it's not about knowing every rule. It's about knowing when to talk about the rules. If you're too literal, they think you're naive. If you're too clever, they think you're a risk. But if you understand that rules exist to guide people, not to punish them, you begin to understand Qatar. In the Western world, we say, the law is equal for everyone. In Qatar, they say, the law is a tool of good. It's a fundamental difference, because here, law isn't meant to be a barrier, but a bridge. And the bridge is controlled by a person, an official, a judge, a minister, your sponsor, your advisor, your local partner. Many foreigners make the same mistake. They assume the system is rigid. But in Qatar, the system breathes. If you show goodwill, honesty, a willingness to learn, the system will help you. If you try to bypass the rules, the system will crush you. This is not a country where you test limits. It's a country where you build trust. Every industry in Qatar has two sets of rules, the official ones and the unwritten ones. The official rules describe procedures, the unwritten ones describe intentions. If someone tells you, this may take time, it doesn't mean it's impossible. It means you must let them do it their way. Time is part of the law. Understanding the rhythm of decisions, part of your job. In Doha's office towers, you meet people who combine two worlds, Western professionalism and Arab elegance. Their English is perfect, their suits European, their manners impeccable. But beneath this modernity lies the desert tradition. If you don't understand this code, you may confuse openness for agreement. Because in Qatar, no one says no directly. They simply stop saying yes. Many Western managers think Qatari law is illogical. But in reality, it's simply human, focused on harmony, not conflict, on mediation, not confrontation, on saving face, not winning. Because in the desert, every conflict threatens survival. And Qatar, despite its steel and glass, still remembers that lesson. That's why in negotiations, don't rely on the paragraph. Rely on the person. A signed contract is one thing. A contract written in trust, another. The second lasts longer, survives crises. Because in Qatar, when someone gives their word, its value is measured by their name, not signature. This is why in a country where the legal system is strong, the most important decisions are still made at the table, not in court. The desert taught one truth. Survival requires agreement, not verdicts. That's why in Qatari law, mediation is an art and compromise is a virtue. This is the great difference between the West and Qatar. In the West, law is a shield. In Qatar, law is a conversation. In the West, conflict ends cooperation. In Qatar, conflict begins cooperation. Because if you can understand each other in a difficult moment, it means you're worth doing business with. When you understand this principle, Qatar stops looking exotic. You see a culture that has balanced harshness with wisdom for centuries. Even the marble in its offices has an echo of the desert. And although the world changes, one thing remains the same: the law of honor, older than any constitution. Qatar is not a country of regulations. Qatar is a country of people. And only those who grasp this can truly become part of it. In Qatar, the biggest decisions happen in places that don't look like boardrooms. Sometimes it's a restaurant overlooking the sea. Sometimes a private majlis scented with incense and cardamom coffee. Sometimes the shaded garden of a villa where conversation flows slower than time. That is where business begins, even if no one mentions business yet. In Western culture, a meeting is a plan. In Qatar, it's a ritual. A Western executive arrives with a presentation and an agenda. A Qatari host arrives with a smile and asks, "How are you enjoying our country?" And that is not politeness. That is a test. If you go straight to business, you don't understand the rhythm. Here, business doesn't start with an offer. It starts with a conversation about life, family, weather, culture, your first impressions of Doha. None of this is accidental. It's how trust is built. If you can talk respectfully about simple things, you can be trusted with serious matters. Sometimes the first 3 meetings have nothing to do with the project. Western investors get impatient, assuming nothing is happening. But that's when the most important things happen. Qataris are testing your patience. They want to know whether you're a visitor seeking gain or a partner willing to be present. If you can listen, you gain. If you try to persuade, you lose. In Qatar, the winner is not the one who speaks best. The winner is the one who understands most. Every word, every gesture, every smile matters. Even the way you hold a small cup of coffee says more about you than a resume. Meetings here are long, full of pauses. A Western manager might see them as inefficient. But here, time is a tool. Every moment of silence is a moment of weighing, not a void. If you fill those pauses with words, you show anxiety. If you can stay still, you show confidence. Sometimes the most important sentence arrives after an hour of silence. Sometimes it's never spoken, but understood. In the Arab world, not everything important is said. Some things are felt. That's why negotiations here are like a dance. If you try to lead too forcefully, your partner steps back. If you let them guide you, understanding begins. Many meetings end with no visible result. Then a week later comes a message. "We would like to continue our discussion." That is not random. It's a sign you passed the first test. Patience. In Qatar, patience isn't weakness. It's wisdom. During meetings, the most important things are never written in notes. Who pours the coffee? Who speaks first? Who asks questions? Who listens? The hierarchy is subtle but precise. If you don't notice who truly makes decisions, you can talk for hours and achieve nothing. Many Western managers try to catch the decision maker, not realizing that in Qatar, you don't ask for a meeting with the top person. You must be invited. In the culture of the desert, respect for hierarchy is sacred. Skip the steps, lose the chance. Understand the steps, and every next level opens itself. Don't expect immediate decisions. Sometimes a year passes between the last meeting and the signed contract. But once a contract is made, it lasts a decade. Because in Qatar, long conversations build long relationships. Fast deals end fast. Success here means that after a few years, you become part of the landscape. People know you, remember you, greet you by name. They no longer ask which company you're from. They ask how you are. That's when you know you've entered the circle of trust. Because in Qatar, the most important meetings are never about business, yet they always lead to it. Qatar is not a place where what you say matters most. Qatar is a place where how you make others feel matters most. If people feel calm around you, you gain something no office can give: a seat at a table that is not open to everyone. In the West, silence in conversation is awkward. In Qatar, it is sacred. Where a European fills the space with words, a Qatari begins to listen. Silence is part of the dialogue, not a break in it. Silence is a tool, not emptiness. If you don't learn to understand it, you never learn how to truly communicate in Doha. When you meet a Qatari partner, the conversation flows like a slow river. No rush, no pressure. Every word has weight. Every pause has meaning. Sometimes your sentence ends in silence and you think it means lack of reaction. In reality, that's the moment your counterpart is analyzing, weighing, considering. Silence is not disinterest. Silence is the moment of decision. Qataris learn from childhood that emotions are like fire, useful but dangerous. So they don't show them openly. They don't raise their voices. They don't interrupt. If they want to criticize you, they'll do it with silence. If they want to promise something, they'll say, "Inshallah," while looking into your eyes. If they don't want to continue, they simply won't call back. Even rejection here has to be elegant. In a world of fast communication, Qatar remains a land of slow conversations. A place where a word spoken too soon can be a mistake. where you must feel when to talk and when to wait. Western executives often miss this subtlety. They think silence is wasted time. But in Qatar, silence is a test. If you can endure it, you're given a chance. If you try to break it, you lose respect. Silence is the space between the notes. It creates the rhythm of conversation. Without it, everything becomes noise. And Qatar is a country that values harmony. Here, conversation is music. Tone matters more than tempo. Speak too fast and you seem nervous. Too loud and you seem insecure. Speak rarely but precisely, and you command respect. On the desert, words are rare like water. They cannot be wasted. That's why every yes is measured. Every maybe is open. Every will see means the decision is maturing. No one says no if they can say later, because refusal wounds, and Qataris avoid causing wounds. This is a culture of delicate forms, not blunt decisions. A Western manager comes with a plan, seeks specifics. But here, the real specific is the atmosphere. If you feel calm after a meeting, the meeting went well. If you feel coldness, something went wrong. Qataris won't say directly they do not want you, but they will make you feel it. And it's on you to sense the change in temperature. Sometimes silence lasts days, sometimes weeks, and suddenly the phone rings. Let's meet again. That means things are going well, that your patience was noticed. In this country, they don't call those who push. They call those who wait. Waiting is an art, and art is a sign of maturity. In Qatar, they say, he who can hear the silence can hear the truth. This applies across industries, from construction to finance. If you can hear the unspoken, you'll understand who truly decides. It's often not the one who speaks, but the one who stays silent the longest. During conversations, Qatari partners often ask one question, then watch carefully. Not to hear your words, but to see your reaction to silence. Whether you panic, whether you start talking nonsense, whether you can withstand the moment when nothing happens. Because in the desert culture, that's when your true nature is revealed. To a Qatari, a person unafraid of silence is a person in control of themselves. And someone who controls themselves can control business. This is why the best negotiator in Qatar is not the one with the best argument, but the one who can stay silent. Silence in Doha is not emptiness. It's the space where decisions are born, the moment where it becomes clear whether you are a partner or simply a salesman. And if you can understand that silence, if it doesn't frighten you, if you can breathe inside it, that's when you truly begin to play the real game. In Qatar, yes is never loud. Yes arrives after silence, after a look, after tea, after trust. And when you finally hear it, you know it wasn't random. Because in a country where words have weight, silence has value. And those who learn to hear it find a path no map shows.